What up, family? All right, so before we get this video started, listen, I told y'all be better about this. So I want to give a special shout out to Kelly, Kofi, Denise, Deanna or Deanna, AJH, A Cooks, Tim, Jay, Ian, Bria, Mikata, and Anthony. Thank y'all so much for your donations. You guys rock. Help me to keep this real hoodoo thing going. Thank y'all so much. Everybody else, follow their lead, run them donations. All right, let's get to this video. What's going on, guys? Broken Prophet here, and welcome back to the vlog. Here is hoping that the start of your weekend is absolutely awesome. And here's hoping you had a wonderful week. And if you did not, have no fear. Hey, you here with me, so we're gonna catch a vibe going into this weekend. So I decided today we're gonna go old school. We're gonna break it back a little bit and get into candle workings 101 because this was sparked again by Reddit. Y'all know I lurk in the Reddit groups. And invariably, I always see, y'all hear a big word, invariably, I always see people posting questions. They have burned a candle, and here's a picture of somebody holding up a candle going, what does this mean? And it's always a lot of soot, or maybe it's black soot, and they automatically think something negative, something is wrong. And I always try to troubleshoot it for them, but people don't want to hear it. So let me tell you, what are some of the causes of black soot on your candles and how to kind of not get that. So if you do get something, then you know that maybe there is something spiritual going on. With anything spiritual or supernatural, you want to try to debunk it. What could the natural cause be? I know, guys, we get into spirituality, we get into hoodoo, voodoo, palo, whatever, and we get so hyped that we forget one thing, that just because we are engaged in a spiritual act does not mean that natural physical law is out the window. No, they still apply. So, number one, let's say, we're going to start with one of these first. When you have one of these and it burns down, you have a lot of black soot, it's usually a couple of reasons. One, either the wick is too long when you lit it, or two, you've piled too much crap on there. I've said this before, but you've got to trim the wick down. If you look at this wick here, this thing is huge. This is huge. You want to trim that bad boy down. Size doesn't matter. So, yo, speaking of which, guys, we still have seats for my Hoodoo Sex Magic webinar. I call it Grown Folks Magic. I got tired of saying sex magic, but y'all know what I meant. Hoodoo Grown Folks Magic webinar. We are going to go over ways in which you can get somebody to get in that special mood with you. If you want to break out that friend zone and take it to the next level. Maybe you're married and things have gotten kind of slow. And you're like, oh, you've been having too many headaches here lately. We about to let's get something going. Or not or, but and the second half of the webinar, we will focus on using that concentrated nuclear reactor type energy generated during the grown folks, where you can kind of spark some things outside the bedroom. We're talking about using that energy for a better job, using that energy for just to control and compel, stuff like that. It's gonna be nice. So y'all come on in. $10, Cash App, Venmo. Information is gonna be down below. But anyway, back to this. When it comes to your candle, you want to trim the wick down. If you look inside of the candle, you'll see a wick line or wax line. Right there at the base, there's a little bit of wax going up the wick. You want to trim it down to that or just above it. The wick is only going to be that long and it's fine. When you light a wick here, it is going to consume all of this cotton, and it's going to give off a lot of heat and a lot of just burnt cotton. And when a lot of times when it gets down there, you're gonna have a really big flame, and big flames, one, y'all think that it's something spiritual when it's not. It's just ate up a lot of cotton. And two, that big flame is gonna touch whatever you've dressed the candle with, and it's gonna get hotter, and it's gonna give off more heat, and it's gonna give off more whatever burnt matter you got in there. So you want to trim the wick to get it soaking up more wax. Because see, that's the purpose of the wick. When the wick gets hot from the fire, it soaks up or wicks up. That's why it's called a wick. It wicks up the wax, liquefied wax, and that's why it burns for so long. Excuse me, instead of just poofing. Okay, so that's number one. You want to trim the wick down. If you want to know how short the wick should be, then look no further than one of these birthday candles. When you look at birthday candles, think about it. Birthday candles just stay lit. You got to blow them joints out. They stay lit, right? Have you ever looked at the wick on a birthday candle? Look how small that is compared to this. Trim the wick down and it'll you'll get more wicking action and it will burn longer and it will burn cleaner. So that's one thing that you can rule out in case you get some soot. You can go, okay, well, I know I trimmed that wick. Number two, you guys are putting way too much stuff in there. I have seen some candles dressed, even in shops that I have visited. You guys are like, hey, if you're in town, you should go by here. And I go by there and they sell dressed candles, and in this space, it's stuff piled almost to the brim here with everything from roots, herbs, glitter, all kinds of stuff. And guys, remember when I said that just because we are engaged in a spiritual act does not mean that natural law does not also apply. Don't think that that flame is not going to touch that glitter, those dried up roots and herbs and all the other stuff and not ignite. It's the same thing if you light a fire anywhere and you pile a bunch of dry paper or leaves or whatever, it's going to cause smoke. And smoke is what is causing the soot. You may not see the smoke. Sometimes you do see like the little black stuff going out of the flame. But for the most part, it's going to stay contained and it's going to gather around the inside of the glass. Again, that is not spiritual. That is human error. You have put too much stuff on there. When I dress a candle, I will just coat the inside with a thin layer of oil, if I'm using oil, and just here. Let me. I know I got some around here, so we're gonna one take Drake this thing. So I ain't about to cut the camera to here. I got some hyssop here. What's that? A protect? Okay, I see what you're doing, Spirit. I got some hyssop handy and a protection candle. That's not too bad. And I'll look at that. Now I may at times use a little bit more than that, but that's about right. Look at that. See, that's it. That is it. That is all you need. See, when you only use that amount, you're guaranteeing that even if that all of that catches fire, you're not going to have a lot of soot around the inside of your candle. And two, the purpose of that of the dressing of the candle, of course, is to direct and focus whatever energy you are trying to utilize. But also, as the wax liquefies, it's going to go down. This right here is not going to burn up. It's just going to float on the wax. The lower the wax gets, it's just going to ride the wax down to the bottom. And at the end, you'll be able to see, what's left. A lot of times when people pile junk on their candle and then it burns down, there's a lot of soot, and then you can see a pile of stuff at the bottom of the candle. If you've got a pile of stuff at the bottom of your candle, you've put too much on there. And again, with the oils, some of y'all just bloop, bloop. No, I put a little bit on my finger and just a thin coating, a thin coating. Yeah, I'm a lot less than chicken. I don't know, but y'all catch my drift. I know in the world we live in, we think we have like a more is more mentality. If I use more, that's going to be more magic. No, that's not how it works. No, less is more. That's why when you go to like a traditional hoodoo shop and you buy a packet of herb, you're literally buying like a packet, a little bit, because they understand you only using a pinch of stuff, just a pinch. What's the old saying? A little dab will do you. So that's three things right there. Trim the wick, use a little bit of oil, and a little bit of herbs. What another thing that I want you to look out for is where the wick is situated. Now you can kind of see. These are candles I sell, by the way. If you look in here, see if it'll focus. The wick was a little off center. If you see the lines coming from the wick, no, that's not me scratching anything in there. The wick was kind of off center. So what I did was I pulled it down through the wax. That's what created the line there. That's what created the line. Me dragging it center. See, we used to be able to reliably divine on candles. And that was because people used to take pride in their work and the product that they put out. But as time grew on, people wanted to minimize costs while maximizing profit. And what happens when that? What generally do they sacrifice? Quality. So a lot of times there's horrible wax, horrible quality control. The wicks are all over the place. A lot of times, if your candle just bursts for no reason, it's because that wick, instead of going straight down to the bottom of the candle, is zigzagging. So as it burns down, say if the wick is over here, this side of the glass is going to heat up. And if you've got the air conditioning on, you know what happens when glass heats up and then gets hit with cold air, it's going to pop. Same thing as if you heat up some glass and then you run cold water on it. A lot of times it'll break. So if you find a wick that is off center, before you trim it or anything, just drag it to the center point, pull up on it a little bit, see, straighten it as much as possible. It'll move inside of there. All right. So basic candle troubleshooting. Excuse me. Now, I don't want you guys to think that you can only do spell work with these types of candles. Some of my favorite workings are just with stick candles. There's no more magic in one of these than one of these. Do not think for an instant that this half a penny's worth of screen printing that you could take a Bethlehem and scrape off is what makes the magic. A lot of times, well, let me hip y'all to something. Remember, I said if you want to actually have results from your spell work, mind, body, and spirit have to be in alignment. A lot of times, we will do some workings and our mind kind of goes cattywampus. Say, we do, let's say, a lost stairway working, but the whole time you worried about your parole officer, your probation officer, you worried about that court kid, blah blah. They about to come kick in my door. So the scales aren't balanced. You've got a minute in dressing that candle, and then another 23 hours and 59 minutes of worrying. 1 minute of lost their way, 23 hours and 59 minutes of here they come. Okay. So a lot of times what this is a reminder. Whenever you see, okay, let me get my mind back right. Let me get my mind back right. That's if you need that type of reminder. If you don't, these are just as effective spiritually, but still, you got to trim the wick. Now, I think I've trimmed this one. No, this is how it comes right out of the box. If you light it like that, it's going to soot and all kinds of stuff. Now, here's one I've trimmed. You want something like that. See the difference? Invest in one of these for safety's sake. Keep your cats away from it. Plus, kind of looks cool. And then these have an added effect of, you can put, there's some pyrite or fool's gold. There's a little bit of lodestone. And then there's a John the Conqueror root. Not high John. Told y'all the difference. And you could burn it that way. Now, when it comes to dressing one of these, it's the same thing. Some of y'all I have sent, and I think I've showed a picture before. I may try to show it here. I have seen y'all dress these candles and they look like a pecan log. Y'all know what a pecan log is, right? That little candy that's just rolled in crushed pecans. I mean, you should still be able to see candle when you dress this thing. The same rules that apply to this as well. I'm not about to put, but a lot of times the same, just smear it with a little bit of wax. It doesn't matter up or down, y'all. if people add a lot of extra spooky steps, it's because they didn't have any truth. If people can't dazzle you with their knowledge, they'll baffle you with their bull. You know, all that stroke it up for this, stroke it down for that, all this stroking the candles. Y'all make sure y'all come to my grown folks magic webinar. But seriously, the same thing applies. Less is more. It is fine. Just put a little bit on there. You'll be all right. Now, if you want a little cheat code, you can take a tea light and put the little herbs and stuff in there. Here, let me put this to the side over here. Hold on. And then pour it as it liquefies on there. 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 And it'll dry on there. Now you see that? It's just enough. Just enough. Somebody sent me a picture, and I hope I can put this on here. This young lady dressed a candle, and she said, "Oh, it must be some bad juju on me. I almost burnt my house down." I said, "What?" Sure enough, she sent me a picture. She'd done it in her bathroom. She had attempted to be safe, but she had done it on the counter instead of in the sink. Yeah, I'm like, do it in the sink. If you're gonna leave home, put the candle down in the sink for safety's sake. But anyway, she had it on the counter, and sure enough, black marks all on the wall, everything. And I said, "What in the how?" She sent me a picture. For some reason, she had taken a picture of her candle before she lit it. Y'all, this thing was caked. It looked like a payday bar. I mean, it was had stuff caked all around. I said, "No wonder. No wonder. Shoot, you weren't burning candle. You were burning all that stuff." Y'all be careful. Less is more. Now, when it comes to your candle workings, do not confuse the spirit, especially when you're just starting out. Okay? Some of you try to do too much with one candle. Too much with one candle. Okay, for instance, we know that calamus root and licorice root are controlling herbs. We know that cinquefoil is a money herb. Some of you will try to dress a candle with both and then put it over a picture of your boyfriend or your girlfriend and go, "Okay, I want to control them so that they give me the money, and I put some attractant oil on there." You're doing too much. What I tell people just starting out is this: do one candle on their picture for control, another candle on their picture for money. That right there is clear direction for spirit. Clear direction. Because see, magic flows through the path of least resistance, meaning the quickest way to get your job done is what it's going to do. For instance, we all know how gravity works. Gravity pulls down. So anything that is on this planet is being pulled down. If you pour some water along the ground, the water is trying to find the easiest way to go where? Down. So it is going to find the first crack in the ground that it sees to get downwards. So, in doing it the way I just explained, if you have control over this person and they have the money, the spirit is like, "Oh, well, that's how we about to do this." Next, as a as opposed to you got all this stuff on there, it's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Maybe they hope they buy a scratch off. Hey Earl, that holler at them in a dream, tell them to buy a scratch off. I don't know what that mess is. And if you want it to be spooky, hey, you can do it outside. Have a bunch of candles lit, just whatever. Just make sure it's not breezy. Oh, and that's another thing. Make sure that you don't have. I'm not moving my camera, but there's a vent up there. Make sure you don't have a lot of air blowing on it, and because that can also lead to a bunch of soot. Too much airflow a lot of times will lead to the white soot in the candles. If you ever burned a candle and you've seen rings of white soot, you've had too much airflow in there. All right. So if you've done all these things and you still are getting soot, well, now you know there's something spiritual involved. Okay. And now you know how to actually work a simple candle ritual. You don't overload the candle with a bunch of things. You load the candle with herbs just for a purpose. Let's do controlling. Now let's do money. Now let's do love. You do all three of those candles dressed appropriately: love oil, controlling oil, money oil, love herbs, controlling herbs, money herbs. The same target's picture under each camera, and it will be camera, Jesus, candle, and it'll be funneled towards one purpose. See, this is a lot simpler, but people want to make it all extra ooga booga. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But I do have a story for you because you guys enjoy story time so much. Let me tell y'all about this spiritual gathering that I went to. So this is actually the first time that I met a particular god sister of mine. Funny. This was Apollo ceremony. Apollo, yeah, it was Apollo ceremony. And I'm down there meeting a whole bunch of people. And some, hey, we saw you on YouTube. Oh, thank you. Great. Now, the thing about Apollo ceremonies is that there's gonna be, some libations. It's gonna be some libations. And it's kind of like a family reunion. There's gonna be food and stuff like that. There's also gonna be a lot of working and a lot of machismo. A lot of machismo. So, but me, I'm just really laid back. Not into that whole beating my chest type of deal. I just sip my beer, stay in the background. So the person holding the event was like, "Hey, this is a client of mine, blah blah," and she's an attractive lady. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" Introduce myself. Went on about my business. Now, at this ceremony, there was an old Cuban tata. Tata is a priest of Palo, and I was being respectful, shaking his hand. Hey, how you doing? Blah blah. And he was like, not speaking English, right? He's not speaking English. And I'm like, okay, he's old from Cuban. Maybe his English is not that good. No worries, right? We were able to communicate with my limited Spanish. Went on about our business. The ceremony started. This particular ceremony was an enemy working. Now, um, this ceremony did involve a bird. Now the bird was dispatched. It had already been deleted. It's gone, and it was laid on the ground. And a Bethlehem was handed out. And what everyone was supposed to do was you take the Bethlehem and you go and you have an enemy's name in mind, and you boom, you know hit the bird with the Bethlehem. Remember, it's already gone. Okay, you hit the bird with the Bethlehem for your enemy, and then you hand the Bethlehem to the next person. When this young lady's time came up for her to go to the bird, I knew something was up because she walked up with her phone. Y'all tell me why she was like, mm, mm-hmm, mm, you too, and then man, she was up there about 10 minutes. I was like, God, man, she is ruthless. Oh, she hit that pole bird so much, the doggone Bethlehem went through, hit the ground, and snapped the tip off of it. I said, good gracious of life. Boy. Woo. So fast forward, the workings were done and people were sipping, socializing, or whatever. And an attractive lady, the Gators came out. I mean, them dudes were talking and spitting their game, and I'm just watching like, boy, y'all something else. Boy, y'all are something else. Now, I'm I'm not checking for nobody. I'm just socializing myself. But I had a question that I want to ask the older Tata, but I couldn't find him. Couldn't find him. So I'm just weaving through the crowd. And then I hear a voice, and the voice was familiar, but I couldn't really, I don't know, it was just familiar. And so I turned and looked. The old Tata got old girl, and he just rapping in the corner to her in perfect English, y'all. I'm talking about old boy was like, yes, so when I was but a young lad in the south of Havana. Have you ever been to Havana in the summer? It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm like, couldn't you just not speak English? Well, I'm telling you, hey, pretty women will do that to you. Just brought the English slap up out of them. Slap up out of them. I was like, boy, y'all something else. Y'all are something else. But anyway, oh, if you guys want to see me in person, that's the story. If you guys want to see me in person, I am going to be at the Lake Park Flea Market this upcoming Sunday from 12 Lake Park, Georgia, from I think from around 12 to something or other. Come by, buy some candles, buy some Earls. That's what we call oils now here, and some incense. And hey, we'll just sit down and wrap a taste. All right, y'all. This video was already longer than I intended it to be. I hope you got some value from it. And if you did, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Make sure you hit the little bell icon so that you get notified every time. And I'm going to do a live stream for you guys here pretty soon. But that's it, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm up out of here. Profit out.